Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the John Campea YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and this is a special supplemental video taking all the live questions that people asked on open mic and on the John Campea Show that we didn't have time to answer. I want to make sure we get around to answering every question that gets sent in, so when we run out of time, we didn't get around to all of them, so now I'm going to do this special video here to make sure we get caught up on all those questions that got sent in, because I want to make sure that they all get answered. With that out of the way, let's get started with the first question today, which comes to us from Gio. That's my real name, by the way. It's actually Giovanni. A lot of people call me Gio. And Gio asks, is Joss Whedon one of the best writers of the past 10 to 15 years? I think so, due to his projects Avengers, Serenity, Buffy, Toy Story, and Cabin in the Woods. All right, well, thanks a lot for the question, man. And look, there's no doubt that Joss Whedon is certainly a terrifically talented writer. I am a big Joss Whedon fan, huge Joss Whedon fan. But even with the credits you list, Avengers, Serenity, Buffy, Toy Story, and Cabin in the Woods, I don't know that I would call him one of the best of the past 10 to 15 years. Now, if you want to say the top 100 means one of the best, well then sure. But I wouldn't put him in the top 5, top 6, top 7, maybe in the top 10. Maybe, but when I think one of the best of the past 10 to 15 years, I think probably at least top 5. And it's all subjective. Like maybe for you it is in the top 5. I just think for me it's not, despite the fact that I'm a massive Joss Whedon fan. I love his sensibilities. I love the way he writes stuff. I love that his stuff is so dialogue driven. I get a real kick, like him and like Kevin Smith, really, really skilled at the dialogue driven kind of stuff. I love that stuff. But I just, for me, I wouldn't personally put him as one of the best of the last 10 to 15 years, but certainly very, very good. And it's cool that you do put him on that list. All right, next question comes to us from Manuel Concepcion, who writes, John, will you ever enter in the schmodown or guest show the council? No. No, that ship has sailed. That's done. I mean, look, I have moved on. I created that place. I started that place. I put just about everybody who works there. I'm the one who hired them to be in there, and I'm very proud of them. I am. But I have moved on to different things. And so, no, that ship has kind of sailed. I don't think you'll see me on that stuff again. But thank you so much for asking. All right, James B. writes, John Favreau doing Star Wars equals me signing up for Disney streaming. Yeah, for those of you who might have missed the news earlier, John Favreau, it's been announced officially by Disney that John Favreau is going to produce and write a live-action Star Wars TV series for Disney's new streaming service. Now, we talked about it on the John Campea Show earlier today. We all knew that there was going to probably be some kind of live-action Star Wars series on this new digital streaming service. I mean, that was kind of a given. A lot of us had hoped, you guys have heard me talk for a couple of years now, that wouldn't it be great to see John Favreau doing a Star Wars thing? Well, it's actually now happened. So I guess as soon as John Favreau is done with his Lion King film, he's probably then going to start rolling and get going on the new Star Wars stuff. They didn't announce a release date. So considering he does have so much work to do on Lion King, I'm probably not anticipating this Star Wars show to launch immediately with the Disney streaming service. It'll probably come sometime thereafter, but we'll definitely keep our ears open. And I'm with you, man. I mean, I have been off and on over the years. I've been skeptical about the idea of a live-action Star Wars TV show. I haven't really been sure that I've even wanted one. I came to accept that it was going to happen when they announced the Disney streaming service, but John Favreau show running it? Okay, I will admit that's kind of got me on board. I'm kind of excited about it. All right, next one comes to us from Samuel Varg, who writes, new Star Wars movie suggestions. Moulin Rogue One, The Menacing Phantom Thread, and Attack of the 50-Foot Clone. Fabulous ideas, Samuel. Good play on words, man. Well done. Well done. All right, Melvin Evans writes, hey, John, my first super chat. Oh, thanks for sending that in, Melvin. Where do we go? Thank you for all the good work. Loved all the changes this year. Your show keeps getting better and better every day. Well, thank you so much, Melvin, and I really appreciate the feedback. Look, I'm going to try things on my show that don't work, and I'm going to try things on my show that do. What makes me work, though, and what really helps me is when I get honest feedback from you guys. Like, hey, you guys have told me when things I've tried haven't worked. So I go, okay, no problem. I won't do that anymore. And it's really good when something is working that you guys give me feedback as well. So I really appreciate that, Melvin, a whole bunch. All right, let's move on. The next one comes to us from Prathik R, who writes, how much can for your consideration campaign hampers and goodies influence Oscar votes? Is it secret bribery? Love from India and keep it filthy? Nah. I mean, look, the stuff you get in like little things, like I just had this really nice package delivered to me with an advanced Blu-ray copy of Downsizing, the Matt Damon movie. And inside the package was a tiny version of the package that when you open it up, there was a tiny version of the Blu-ray. It was so cute and so great. Those are great and wonderful. And certainly they may help in putting them to the front of your mind so they're on your mind and you're thinking about them. But these things aren't going to sway people's votes. Not to mention the votes are all done are all done anonymously anyway. So it's little stuff like that, swaying vote, is not going to sway anybody's vote. I mean, look, it's the same thing as like, you get to go to a movie premiere. That's going to make you give it a thing. Well, look, I get to go to advanced screenings at studios. I get to go to premieres and all that kind of stuff. I just went to an advanced special screening of Wrinkle in Time, and I gave it a bad review because, in my opinion, the movie's not that good. Like, maybe to people, look, I understand it if it's not something you've ever got to do. And then it seems like it's this amazing thing. But once you've done it a few times, I think you would come to the same conclusion that, okay, it's cool that I get to go to these early screenings. That's cool, but it's not that cool. And I think everybody would feel the same way if you got to do it. And I think the same thing about these little, handbags and whatever. I mean, it's just the same thing. These things aren't going to buy people's votes. Not people living in Los Angeles who work in the movie industry. These little things are not going to buy people's votes at all. It's a little bit naive to think that they would. So no, they aren't. That's not bribery in the least. Let's see. D. Wathers writes, hey, John, did you change your setup? You look different somehow. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I've noticed the change since yesterday. Well, I've started using a different camera. This is a camera I used for a little while, but I've gone back to using it now. I'm going to try using this. I'm using what's called the Canon 7D. It's a very good Canon camera that's put out by Canon. I have been using another Canon camera called the Canon XC15, which is another wonderful camera. I'm thinking I like the feel of this camera a little bit more, though, myself. But I'm certainly open to hearing your guys' input about that as well. But I really seem to like this camera, so I've kind of switched back to it. I'm going to use it for a while and then see how I feel. Maybe I'll change cameras again sometime. But good eye, man. Good ID for noticing that. Not everybody would notice the difference in the look. Manuel Concepcion writes, John versus Sam, Star Wars movie showdown, take the belt. Well, look. You know, I know, Sam knows. Sam doesn't stand a chance against me. I have competed against Sam in Star Wars trivia twice, and I have beat him twice. I know it. He knows it. He sits in bars late at night, drinking himself, trembling, just waiting, afraid of the day that everybody's going to find out that he's a phony, that he's not the champ, that he is second best compared to me, and that he has no chance against me. He knows it. The world knows it. Everybody knows it. Faced him twice, beat him twice. No sweat. And just for the record, Sam is a beast, man. Sam's a total beast, and he's such an awesome dude. And if you should follow him on Twitter, if you don't, follow Sam Witwer on Twitter. He's an incredibly fun guy to follow on Twitter. He's witty. He's fun. He's such a great competitor and just such a nice guy. I mean, I've had a number of opportunities to hang around him, and he's just such a legitimately nice guy and is really great just to be around him. So by all means, make sure you're following Sam Witwer on Twitter because he deserves it, and I think you'll get a kick out of following him. Let's see. Next one comes to us from Luna Comics, who writes, do you know a lot of toxic Marvel fans? Because I know a ton. Not many. I mean, but I say that by saying I also don't personally know many toxic DC fans. I also personally don't know many toxic Marvel fans. Most movie fans that are friends of mine that I know are very level-headed, just film fans that happen to love DC movies and happen to love Marvel movies. I don't know a lot personally. I can say my exposure online has definitely been, I mean, I see more toxicity in the DC fandom, but I think that's only a response to the fact that the DC movies haven't been received as well. I have very little doubt that Marvel fandom would have just as many if the Marvel films weren't being received as well. One group is not worse than the other. It's just not. There is a segment of film fandom that is toxic, and it's everywhere. And maybe one shows it a little bit more because the films that are the subject of their fandom aren't being as well received. But believe me, it would be the same if the situation was reversed. It would. So I don't think one side is worse than the other. I just simply don't. Let's see. Mark 1974 writes, "Great show, John." Thank you so much, Mark. Love it here in the UK. No Star Wars Talk Tuesdays lately, or have I missed something? You've missed something. I've made this announcement several times, but I'll keep saying it. Star Wars Talk Tuesday is no more. I've moved Star Wars Talk, no longer Star Wars Talk Tuesday. Star Wars Talk is now going to be on Sundays. I wanted to open up Monday through Friday just for open mic. So Star Wars Talk is now going to be on Sundays. But John, there wasn't a Star Wars Talk this Sunday, right? Because it was Oscar Sunday. So I certainly had no time to do a Star Wars Talk on Oscar Sunday. It was just too big of a day. But this Sunday, Star Wars Talk will return with a new episode of Star Wars Talk. So just keep emailing me Star Wars questions, and maybe you'll see yours pop up on there. But thanks for asking, Mark. All right, Kyle Sayers writes, "Whatever happened to Jack O'Connell?" Well, I mean, I don't know. Was Jack O'Connell ever really a big deal? Let me just bring up Jack O'Connell for a second. I mean, he appeared in a couple of things, and he was doing all right. I mean, he did Unbroken, which was great. Got him a lot of play. If I'm not mistaken, it might have even gotten him... did he get an Oscar nomination for Unbroken? No, he didn't. He did get he got a BAFTA award. He won the Rising Star and was nominated for Best Scotland Star. Anyway, but yeah, he had that big push with Angelina Jolie's movie. And then just didn't really kind of go anywhere after that. I'm looking up he's done some television stuff. Oh, I saw that, Man with the Iron Heart. I actually saw that. Nobody else did, but okay, so I saw that. So, I mean, he's been working, just wasn't able to get any kind of a breakthrough after that, I guess. So, hey, maybe he's just lying low for a bit. Who knows? We'll have to keep our eyes open for that. Simon Hansen writes, "Hey, John, longtime fan." Thank you so much, Simon. "At what point did you really start to realize just how big of a juggernaut the MCU was turning into?" It was the first Iron Man. Well, it was not when the first Iron Man was coming out. It was by the end of the first Iron Man. By the end of the first Iron Man, and then we go through the end credits, and then Sam Jackson shows up, mentions the Avengers Initiative. The response the audiences on every screening I went to gave, that was the indicator. It was... everybody loved this movie and is totally psyched for where this thing is going. I think every audience I saw it with lost their damn banana minds. First of all, throughout the whole movie, but especially when Fury shows up at the end. And for me, that was the moment that I went, oh, okay, this is going to be huge. I didn't know, I didn't necessarily think it was going to become the absolute #1 blockbuster genre dominating the box office. I didn't know it was going to be that, but I had a pretty good indication that, oh my God, this thing's going to be huge. That was at the end of that movie for sure. All right, just got a couple more here, and then we're going to be wrapped up. This next one comes to us from Andrew Vanderword, who writes, "Hey, John, greetings from Stony Creek, Ontario." I love Stony Creek, Ontario. A lot of my best friends are in Stony Creek. I worked in Stony Creek for a little while. It's just next door neighbor. Actually, Stony Creek is now officially a part of Hamilton. I guess it is. But I miss the Stony Creek Dairy. But Stony Creek, beautiful city, beautiful town. With the news of Star Wars live action series, it got me thinking, will the Disney streaming service be available in Canada right from launch? I don't know, and I have my doubts. I don't know that it will be, and I have my doubts. Understanding how big of an international audience Disney has, you have to think they are going to be working at making sure their streaming service is going to be available in as many markets as possible. For me, but as of right now, I simply don't know if Canada will be part of those plans. I just don't know at this point. I have a feeling this, if for whatever reason it's not right when it starts, I have a feeling it probably won't be too terribly long after, like maybe within a year or 2 years that it will. And remember, I think I don't know this. I'm speculating. I don't think this Star Wars show is going to be ready to launch when the network launches. So it might be a year after the network launches that we actually get this live action Star Wars show. So even if it's not in Canada when the streaming service launches, it may be in Canada by the time the Star Wars show launches. But so again, there's a lot of unknown factors here right now, so we're just gonna have to wait and see how it plays out. But thanks a lot for writing, Andrew, and say hi to Stony Creek for me. Let's see. 2 questions left. This one comes to us from Parwizjam Shitty, who writes, "Hey John, why is that Sean Connery Never Say Never, also known as Never Say Never Again, why is it that the Sean Connery Never Say Never considered a Bond movie in their roster? Never Say Never consider. Well, I think what you're asking is why is it not considered a Bond movie? Okay, so for those of you who may not know about this, there's this James Bond movie that Sean Connery did called Never Say Never Again. And it was, let me just pull something up here. It's not considered, many people do, it's not the official 23rd Bond movie. A lot of people say it is not actually a James Bond film. It is a James Bond film, and yet it's not. Okay, why is it some people consider this not? Because it wasn't produced by the production company that actually has the rights to James Bond, which is Eon, E-O-N, or something like that, run by the Broccoli or the Broccoli family. I've never known how you pronounce it, whether it's pronounced broccoli or broccoli, whatever. If they're Italian, it's broccoli. Anyway. So how did they go about doing this? Here's the thing. There is this guy by the name of Kevin McClory, okay? He kind of put this story together with Ian Fleming. The story got dropped, but then Ian Fleming turned it into a novel, a James Bond novel anyway, and never gave credit to McClory. I think it even then got turned into a movie. McClory filed a suit against them for a copyright claim. Following me? Okay. McClory wins that copyright claim, and he gets 2 things. 1, to be included as a producer on that other James Bond film that they did. But number 2, he was given the right to, after 10 years, make a movie based on his story. He was given, this is a very unique circumstance. I don't think it's ever happened before, and I don't think it's ever happened again. But McClory was given the right that in 10 years, you can make a James Bond movie based on this story that you made because these guys violated your copyright. So what happened is, he was able to get Sean Connery, who had retired from playing James Bond. He talked Sean Connery into coming back to play the James Bond character again in his movie, Never Say Never Again, which was actually pretty damn good. So it is a James Bond movie, but it is not considered a part of the anthology of the James Bond movies. And I remember there's even been collections of the James Bond movies put out, and Never Say Never Again is not included in those. So that is how Never Say Never Again is a James Bond film, and yet it is not a James Bond film. It's one of the more fascinating stories in Hollywood history. Read up about it a little bit if you like, but it's just really one of those cool stories. And the final message today that I did not have time to get around to in the previous shows comes to us from Factual Opinion. What a great screen name. I love that. Do you use Amazon Prime Rewards Visa card? No, I don't. For the most part, I try not to use credit cards at all. I've always been very allergic to debt. I do not like debt. I'm one of these guys that I will wait and save until I can just buy something outright. I do not like debt. I do not like owing money. And every time I use a credit card, the moment I buy something with a credit card, you're in debt. You owe somebody money. And I do not like owing money. So I have a couple of credit cards just because, I mean, you can't have a good credit score unless you have a credit card. So I have credit cards. I'll use them from time to time just to keep my credit score up. But I don't like using them if I don't need to. And so I certainly don't go out of my way to get these special promotional credit cards like Amazon's, or even like I go to Vegas a lot, but I don't get the special Total Rewards Visa credit card or anything like that, just because I don't like the idea of getting in debt. And so I try to protect myself by not getting cards like that. So I don't know, maybe it's the Amazon Prime Rewards card is a great card. I haven't looked into it. So I really don't know much about it, but just in general, I haven't used a lot of credit cards and I don't really plan on using a lot, but who knows? Maybe there's some great deal with that Amazon Prime one. Maybe I'll check it out. All right, guys. That will do it for me for this installment of this special companion video to the John Campea Show and to Open Mic. But hey, listen, guys, while I've got you here for a second, let me plug something, and something that I announced earlier on the John Campea Show a little bit earlier today. I am thrilled to announce that the John Campea Show and this channel has a new sponsor in Stardust and the Stardust app. If you don't use the Stardust app, you completely should. I've fallen in love with it. It's a simple app where this is a basic function. You record on the app a 3 to 30 second reaction or mini review, if you will, of a movie, TV show, or trailer, or something you're experiencing. And you get to record it for 3 to 30 seconds. It's really simple. It's great. And then you share it with the community. It's super easy to record. It's super easy to use. But here's where it becomes really special for those of you who watch the John Campea programming, is that I'm going to start making some segments on the John Campea Show, maybe about 2 times a week, a little 5-minute segment called What Are You Watching, or What We're Watching, where I'm going to pull a bunch of Stardust reactions that you guys make in reacting to a TV show, a movie, maybe an old movie or an old TV show that you want to put up as a recommendation for everybody else to check out. And you can simply do that. The way I'll find them is you make a Stardust video, right? Then once you're done recording, you hit the edit button and you can just tap on the screen and type in @John Campea. That's tagging me. If you just put @John Campea, that tags me. That way I'll be able to see your video we do. And then what I'll do is a couple times a week, I'll take some of my favorite Stardust app reactions that you guys send to me and I'll respond to them. I'll do a little 5-minute segment. I'll respond to them. I'll probably even do other videos on YouTube using this stuff. I'm really excited about it. Listen, do me a favor. Look in the description of this video right near the top. You'll find a link to the Stardust app. Go download it. It's free to use. It's simple to use. I've been trying to find easy ways for you guys to send me videos to use on the show as well. This is a great way to do it. So make sure you go down there and check that out. All right, guys, that will do it for me. Thanks so much for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until my next video,